Okay, I'm going to be making some confidence intervals for the mean, for the population mean, and I'm going to do it with this raw data sheet right here that has mortality rates for different countries over different years. And I wanted to show this first because getting used to working with a table of data is very important in real life applications. So the first thing you want to do when you have a table of data like this is make sure that we can switch it to a formal table so that we can sort it. And to do that, you got to make sure that there's no like blank columns or blank rows along the line. So this one's set up really nice. And then what you do is just click anywhere in the table that you want to switch it to a table. And then up here, just do Insert and look for Table. And then Excel will make a guess of where your table is going to be. Make sure it says your table has headers, which I do. I have year, region, country, gender, and so on. And then just say OK. Now I'm showing you the desktop version of Excel, but the online version of Excel that you get through your email account has these features too. You might have to look around for things like that insert table that we had just a little bit ago right here where we inserted the table. You might have to look around for things. They might be in different locations. Okay, once you insert your data, once you insert a table like this, then you can click on these pull downs and sort. Like for example, if I click on this one, you see all the years, and I could say, well, you know what, I'm only interested in, see, I can click select all to deselect them, and then click the years I'm interested in. So maybe I'm interested in just a 2000 and 2001. They don't even have to be consecutive. Maybe 2000, 2001, 2003. You know, that sort of thing. You can sort by more than that if you wanted to sort by right here, region. If you wanted to be just interested in, you know, whatever region you're interested in, you can say OK and select that. Same way with countries. Gender, if you wanted to just get data for males, you can say, oh, just give me the male data right here. And when you do that, you keep shrinking the number of columns that you're dealing with. Well, you're shrinking the number of rows. You can see now the first row we're dealing with is row 143. This original table had almost 10,000 cells of data. So now what we want to do is get a confidence interval for this, and this is really hard to do if you don't have the ESP4 Excel sheet that we're using in the class, because you'd have to do all sorts of t-scores and that sort of thing by hand. So all we really need to do is get this data. So I'm going to get confidence interval for this right here, the adult mortality rate for males in the Americas for the years that I selected. So now at this point, I could click over top of this stuff to select it. Like, see, I could click and drag it down, and it might be a long ways, you know, before I get them all. This one I've sorted so much that it's not really a lot of data, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here. If we have if I take all these sorts off, let's do that a second. So here, if I remove that and say all the years for all the areas, select all the areas, and I do both genders here, then that's a lot to choose from, because again, we have, you can scroll down and see, we have 9,334 rows of data. And if you try to grab it and pull down, that's fine. You can do that if you want to, and you actually pull down really far and it will go really fast down there. So that's one way of selecting them. Here's another way that you can select a lot of data at once. Click in your first cell that you want and then do Control Shift down arrow, and it selects all the continuous data of that row. So I got all of them. Then at that point, we're going to do a right mouse click and copy the data. And then I'm going to go to the 1mu sheet on the ESP4 sheet. See, here's the 1mu sheet. And then right here, the first cell of my raw data, I'm going to do a right mouse click right here and just do a paste 1, 2, 3. See the 1, 2, 3? And that puts it in there without formatting the cells or locking them up in any way. Now you can see we have 9,333 pieces of data here. It automatically got me really quick the sample mean. So the average for all the countries here that we have for all the years, all the, both genders and so on, the average mortality rate is 193, which actually means that out of 1,000 people, 193 of them on average die before they reach the age of 65. And here's the standard deviation. And now if you're using the desktop version of Excel, you can copy these over. So you can just click the copy button. If you're using the web version of Excel, you have to highlight those cells, right mouse click them, copy, and put them where you want them. And we're going to do a confidence interval. So I'm going to use this area right here where it says confidence intervals. Go right here, right mouse click, and make sure you paste special here, 1, 2, 3, because if not, it will bring over and lock these cells up. So if that happens, you can undo it, use undo to undo it, but stay away from that. Now these are sample sizes. It's a sample, so it's a sample mean, sample standard deviation. See, we don't fill anything in for the population standard deviation, and it's a sample size. So at this point, you have a confidence interval made, and since we're using the sample standard deviation, it's still a t-score right here that it calculates. Now this t-score is pretty much equal to a z-score at this point because our sample size is, very huge, 9,000. So, and really, once you get up to about 100 or even 30 sample size, your t-score gets very close to a z-score. But this does it very accurately. It uses t-scores because we know the sample standard deviation. It gets the standard error right here by doing your sample standard deviation divided by the square root of your sample size. That's called your standard error. And then it multiplies these two together to give you your margin of error. Now, what it does here then to get this confidence interval, and this is the one we want right here, is it takes the point estimate. So your best guess for the population mean is the sample mean. So that's the point estimate. Okay, that's your best guess. I don't know what the average life expectancy is for everybody in the world, but this is a very, very good guess because this is the average life expectancy or the average mortality rate, I should say, for 9,333 different regions, really. So it's gigantic. It's a very, very good estimate. So the average mortality rate is 193.39. That's not exactly equal to the mortality rate of everybody in the world, but it's a great point estimate, one number guess for it. Now, what it does to calculate this entire interval is it takes your point estimate, which is the sample mean, and it adds on and takes off your margin of error. And that's what this little formula right up here means. It says your confidence interval from mu is equal to your point estimate, which is your sample mean, plus or minus your margin of error. And this is actually how it calculates the margin of error. So if you take this 193.39 and you subtract off 2.42, you get this 190.976. And if you take this 193.39 and add on your 2.42, you get 195.807. Now that will change if you change your confidence level. The standard confidence levels are 90%, 95%, and 99%. You can click on the pull down or you can type in any number you want in there, and you can see those are in there: 90%, 95%, 99%. We generally never go below 90%. But if you want to go higher, you can go higher, or if you want to go real high, you can type it in. So that will affect your confidence interval as well. So my summary of this problem would be I'm 95% sure that the mortality rate of everybody, that the average mortality rate of everybody on Earth is somewhere between 190.97 to 195.8. In other words, I'm 95% sure that between 191, basically about 191 to about 196 people per thousand do not make it to age 65, and that's what that statistic is about. Now, if you'd like to get that margin of error down farther than 2.42, then you have to have a larger sample. So what you would do here is go to the sample size area, put in the margin of error that you want. Like if you'd like to get this down to maybe just 2, okay, a margin error of 2 people. You know, like right now it's 191 to 196 people die before the age of 65. plus or minus, see that's your plus or minus 2.42. So if I'd like to get it down to just plus or minus 2, I'll put that in there. I'll put in the standard deviation that we were given, that actually I calculated here, which is this value, the 119 point something. And actually, so I don't have to type it in, I'm just going to do equals and click on that value. Right here it is, sample standard deviation, and hit enter. Or you could type it in, but don't round. And here's the total number I would need to sample, 13,613. Occasionally you get a question that says, how many more do you need to sample? Well, if we already sampled 9,333, and this is how many we need to sample, then we just subtract these to get the additional number of people we need to sample. If you're ever given an actual population size, then you can put that in there, and that will reduce the number of people that you need to sample. Okay, so I'll stop this video right here, and hopefully that will help you with the sorting and also using this section of the 1mu sheet.